Welcome to Tier 7 of the urban legend Iceberg. If you want to see the original image of the iceberg, you can look in the description below and find the original Reddit post where the user DarkMoon230 originally posted this image on Reddit. They are a close friend to me, and I would appreciate it if you gave them some kind of shout out or commented on their Reddit post. Thank you. Let's explore the iceberg. No Face is a creature that is also referred to as the No Power Bow. This creature is said to appear on the lonely roads of Japan. It may first appear like an ordinary human being, but will suddenly appear to have no facial features upon closer inspection. These creatures will often appear in groups, as to confuse the human victim even more. When this victim finds themselves in an encounter with No Power Bow, they will often try to frantically find help from anyone who is nearby. This person will often end up finding a No Power Bow, so when the victim is describing their encounter to this person about seeing this creature with no face, they might end up saying, "Do you mean like this?" before this person will rip off their face, revealing that they are a No Power Bow to the victim as well. Often these creatures will pursue a victim until they reach their house, and they will play their last trick by replacing one of the loved ones of the victim, making the victim run out of their house in search of an actual human being to recount their tale of horror to. Kisaragi Station was a story posted on 2chan as an interaction between people trying to communicate to a girl known as Hasumi. This interaction begins with Hasumi telling 2chan that the train hasn't had a single stop for around 20 minutes, when it usually would have stopped around 5 or 7 times. Suddenly the train decides to stop at a place called Kisaragi Station. 2chan begs for Hasumi to stay on the train, but she gets off and decides to look for a phone or a person nearby to ask for directions on help on how to get back home. However, there appears to be no one at this station, and there are no buildings nearby. On 2chan they discover that the kanji of Oni means Kisaragi, which means that she is quite literally staying at the demon station. Hasumi says that she tried to look up the town's name on her phone, but her phone just came up with an error message. She can get through to her parents and phones them, to which her father replied that she should phone the police immediately. She also states that she had never heard of Kisaragi Station either. When Hasumi phoned the police, they are reported to have just acted aggressive towards her, like she is playing a prank on them, and she ended up having to apologize to them instead of asking for help. 2chan then suggests that she spends the night at the station, but Hasumi doesn't like this idea and decides to walk down a tunnel from where the train came from. She says that she can hear distant drum beats with accompanying bells, to which 2chan just suggests that it's probably a festival nearby. Hasumi then says she is afraid to look behind her because she fears something is there. 2chan then says that she needs to run as fast as possible without looking behind her, or whatever is behind her will immediately take her away. Hasumi ends up hearing something behind her though. Someone appears to be shouting, "Hey, you can't walk along the railway track, it's dangerous," to which she looked behind her only to see an old man with one leg. He then disappeared into the shadows of the tunnel. Hasumi, after seeing this, is suddenly stuck in the position she is standing in. Hasumi says she can't run anymore, she can't walk anymore, so she has to limp across the tracks. Hasumi is bleeding and holding onto her broken heel, which she broke earlier on that night. When Hasumi finds the entrance to the tunnel, she says that it is called Isunuki. When she has finally exited the tunnel, she sees a young man standing there. 2chan advises her that this young man may be more of a threat towards her than anything in the tunnel or in Kisaragi Station. Hasumi replies back saying that she is now in the car with the young man, saying that he is really polite and is taking her to a hotel nearby. Hasumi reports that her phone is on its last piece of charge, saying that she's heading towards a mountainous area with no sign of human life, and says that things are starting to look strange in her environment. Hasumi states that she will try to escape the car and message back to 2chan when she has escaped. Hasumi never messaged back to 2chan ever again. Her fate is unknown, but it's a popular theory that she was taken to an alternate dimension, or even a version of hell. The cursed Kleenex commercial refers to a 1986 Japanese commercial run by the company Kleenex, in which they released 3 commercials for a Japanese audience. There's an allegedly cursed one, in which a woman can be seen talking to a child whose body appears to be red, apart from its hair, which is green, with a horn sticking out of it, like that of a demon baby. They are sitting on what looks like to be straw, and a song is playing over the commercial. This song is allegedly a German curse, and apparently whoever listens to it and watches the commercial either becomes incredibly ill or wants to end their own life. The cameraman who filmed this advertisement was burned to death by a sauna accident. Everyone else associated with the commercial died a horrible death, and when it aired on TV, no one who helped create it was still alive. The actress in the video allegedly gave birth to a demonic baby and went insane, only to end her life. The child in the commercial was allegedly hit and decapitated by a car after his appearance. There is also an angel version of this commercial as well, but it is thought that there is another variation of this video, which is the cursed one, which no one yet has found. The Well to Hell is a story about Russian scientists who have dug a hole so deep into the Earth's crust in Siberia that they have drilled further than anyone else before them. Eventually their drill starts to rotate wildly, which means they have finally cracked through into something. They see that the temperature is strangely hotter than they thought it would be, being over 2000 degrees Fahrenheit, meaning that they might have found something other than the Earth's core. They decide to put an ultra-sensitive microphone into the hole that they have created, and initially think that the sound of the equipment is malfunctioning, because the sound that is playing is so high-pitched, but they soon discover that they are actually listening to the screams of millions of people who are trapped inside of hell itself. It's at that moment where at least half of the workforce abandon this project, and the lead scientist, Dr. Azarkov, says hopefully whatever is down there will stay there. This scientist, Dr. Azarkov, then decides to go on to create an even deeper hole in Alaska, which then created an explosion, killing 3 oil workers and creating a cloud of Satan himself. Fatal Affair is a Japanese urban legend about an experienced taxi driver picking up a young man off the road who told him that he would tell the directions back to his home, but not the actual address itself. The taxi driver didn't find this particularly strange, as he had dealt with more private people before, so he kept listening to this young man's instructions until he noticed that he wasn't anywhere that looked familiar to him, so he became more and more reliant on the young man's instructions. When he asked for the young man's instructions again, the young man was nowhere to be seen, and the taxi driver was starting to panic. He forgot to look at the road he was driving down, and just as he looked back, he was just about to fall off a cliff's edge. The last thing he saw before he died was some particularly sharp rock edges going straight towards his head. The 10-Day Dream is a Japanese urban legend. This story is allegedly cursed, and you will start to feel the side effects of hearing this story in 3 days. If you would like to skip ahead to the timestamp, go ahead. This story is a set of dreams that are set to occur within 3 days after you have heard this story. You must carry out certain rules every night, otherwise you'll meet a horrific end, being forever trapped inside of this dream cycle. The first night you will see a girl standing at your window. You must let her in. On the second night, this girl is now in your room and looking down at the ground. You are unable to see her face because of her long black hair. She is muttering, "Please, please," in between other pieces of incomprehensible dialogue. You must lay her down next to you in bed. On the third night, you will see the girl next to you, and she will appear to be very badly burnt all over her body. You must not scream when you make eye contact with her. On the fourth night, you will decide to go to the park with the girl. You must go to the park with the girl without saying a single word after leaving your room. On the fifth night, you're in a park of some kind and see a woman pushing a stroller with a baby inside. When you take a closer look at both of these people though, you realise that this woman is actually a cat and the baby is a dog. You must kill one of these beings. On the 6th night, you will see an airship land in the park. You will ask the girl whether she wants to go on the airship. You will get on the airship before it takes off. On the 7th night, you notice that the airship is filled with people who have heard this story as well. You must find a seat on the airship, regardless of any circumstance. On the 8th night, you will start to see black and red roses fall upon you. You must throw out only the black roses out of the airship's window. On the 9th night, the airship will land back in the park. You must go back home and go back to your bed with the girl, and you must lay both in bed. On the 10th night, no one knows what happens unless they have followed all the previous rules of the legend. But one rule is known. Once you're awakened from this dream, you must tell this story to the next person you see. Otherwise, you will feel the wrath of the entity of the 10-day dream. Stull's Gateway to Hell refers to the urban legend that a church in the town of Stull, in the state of Kansas, houses one of the 7 gateways on Earth that lead to hell. It's said that there are many supernatural events that happened around this cemetery, including witchcraft, hauntings, and even sightings of the devil itself. On the 20th of March 1978, people waited in anticipation for the devil to arrive, but it never did. People say that the inside of the church of this cemetery has never had rain inside of it, despite it having no roof. People have also claimed that they have felt a warm breeze brush aside them and act violently towards them, claiming it's a wind from hell itself, released by the portal underneath the church. This church was demolished in 2002 by an unknown force. The owner claimed he never signed off on any demolition warrants, but people claim that the church wall was seen falling down a week before. It's now stated that this portal has been closed, but the 6 others are still active across the world. Dream School is a story that is cursed, and it is said that if you hear this story, you'll be transported to this location the next time you fall asleep, if you do not forget about it within a week. So here is the timestamp if you want to skip ahead. The story starts with a boy named K, who found himself wandering through a school whose interiors he did not recognize. The school was clearly in darkness, as it seemed to be night outside, with no sign of the moon. K tried to break the windows and doors, but none of them showed any signs of damage. He tried to break the glass of the windows, but nothing seemed to show up, like they were made out of some kind of heavy, resistant material. The school seemed to loop around forever in a circle, as K repeatedly found himself in the same place over and over again. K decided to run in another direction. They found themselves going left and right, and found themselves in an economics classroom. He exits this classroom before finding himself in various other rooms before resting on the stairs. He then looks at the clock as it swings back and forth, making a light ticking noise. As soon as K tried to focus in on this sound, he started to hear another sound of distant footsteps catching up to his location. He started to run in the opposite direction, but as this running becomes more aggressive, he ended up in a classroom marked 108. The classroom was completely dark and deserted as K searched for a key or something to keep him safe. The bangs on the door that he had locked rang out louder and louder as K lay on the floor along with the contents of the room spilled out. K opened up the door, only to see the empty hallway filled to the brim with children dead on the floor, their limbs laying over the floor of the corridor in a motion where it looked like they were almost trying to connect back to their bodies. After seeing this in the dream, K was forever in a comatose state, forever trapped inside the dream, unable to exit out of his mind. It is said that if you don't forget this story within a week, you'll be taken to the same dream school when you fall asleep, trapped to meet the same fate as K did before you. The Rat King is a supposed creature made up of multiple rats' tails creating one giant rat. These rat kings were allegedly formed from underground colonies of rats getting so matted together they ended up joining into one singular rat. Since all of these rats are in such confined, tight space after this, they are all trying to escape this situation and will start to press against each other, releasing an oil from their skin that merges their skins together, creating one giant rat creature made up of several smaller creatures that can chase and spread disease at a much more rapid and deadly rate. The Mad Gasser of Mattoon is an urban legend about someone who used to go around different houses in Mattoon, in the state of Illinois, with a spray that eliminated some kind of mysterious chemical around the victims' houses. This would make every person in this household have symptoms of nausea, headaches, spitting up blood, and even near complete paralysis. People report smelling a cheap perfume before feeling the side effects of these episodes. It was originally thought to be a case of mass hysteria, but now it has been seen that this might have been an actual person who had a laboratory underneath their house, creating these noxious smells to try and attack a neighbourhood for not accepting them into it, and try to show their revenge by going around in a shadowy outfit, avoiding all lines of sight during the daylight, and trying to poison those who committed wrong against them in their lifetime. Satoru-kun is an urban legend in Japan about the spirit of a young boy who you can call if you would like any question in the world answered. However, you must follow several steps if you want to stay alive after your encounter with Satoru-kun. First of all, you need to go to a payphone and have a mobile phone. Dial your own phone number on the public payphone and say, "Satoru-kun, Satoru-kun, please answer. Satoru-kun, Satoru-kun, please answer if you are there." Once you have done this, hang up the payphone and turn off your mobile phone. Within the next 24 hours, you shall receive a call from Satoru-kun on your mobile phone. Each time he calls you, he will be closer to your location. When he calls you and says, "I am behind you now," do not look behind you. Do not try to touch him. Do not delay your question to Satoru-kun. Ask him immediately. If you break any of these rules, or you don't have a question to ask Satoru-kun, he will drag you to hell immediately, without hesitation. I would love to see your opinions in the comment section below on what you thought my video was like. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.